What's up, everybody? I want to tell you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting Anchor on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download Anchor, the app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. And I'm a veteran, so let's hear some more military cadences. What's up, family? I just can't get enough of these alternative lifestyles and dating and sex and all this craziness that you kids are doing out there that me and my little boring little heterosexual life is. I love my life, don't get me wrong, because the way my OCD is set up with like juices and berries, like I can't do everybody's juice, if you know what I mean. I don't like sounds. I'm pretty much convinced I'm on the spectrum because I don't like sounds, I don't like smells, and so that is why I have one partner. If that makes any sense. I know it's absolutely crazy. But in the meantime, my OCD, gets in the way of me exploring. These crazy cool cats and kids are out there doing it. Now, I am going to show this one guy who said he was approached by swingers. That is right. Today's episode is going to be about swinging that thing. So let's get into these stories here about swinging. I just can't stop saying swinging because it's kind of funny. Let's see here if I can get it to play.
My birthday, pineapples. You know what this means? If you're a pineapple, no judgment. I'm just not about that life, and I don't want my wife to be about that life either. My wife had this friend, and sometimes she would come over while my wife was at work, and she'd ask like silly questions, and I thought it was weird, but I told my wife one time, I said, such and such comes over here, and she just asks silly questions, or she'll ask to borrow different things. She was mad. She was like, oh, girl thinks that we're pineapples and she's probably coming over here to test you. I'm like, pineapple? What's a pineapple? She told me what it was. I was like, no, I don't need them problems. So she cuts her off a couple of years ago, and earlier this year we meet a new couple. This is why we don't have friends, for real. So we're all on the riverboat cruise in St. Louis, and everything was cool, but they kind of seemed a little aggressive. You pull my wife to the side, and I'm like, don't these guys seem a little weird? She was like, yeah, they're a little much. So we went to a bar on the lower floor, and they came up behind us and were like, what are you drinking? They ended up buying us some drinks, and guess what it had in it? Pineapple. We didn't ask for no pineapples. My wife was like, I think they some pineapples. I said, I think they some pineapples. But we weren't sure yet. Guess what I got in the mail for my birthday? 2 pineapples from the couple. Listen, y'all get down how you get down, but I'm not pineappling nobody, and ain't nobody pineappling my wife. We some regular degulars.
I feel you, homie. I mean, yeah, so if you guys didn't know, like, pineapple is a sign for swingers, and upside pineapple, it's just a lot. It's ankle bracelets, which I have some, but just want anybody that knows me personally, we not swinging. We not swinging. Let's keep going. This girl is going to tell about her dating nightmare.
So y'all remember when I told you I was going to start dating again and how I haven't dated in like a really long time? Well, recently, your girl went on a first date, and why didn't y'all tell me that dating is this ghetto? Like, no one warned me. So a couple weeks ago, I met this guy as my friend and I were like walking out of the bar, and him and I exchanged numbers, and from there we like started texting back and forth, and we eventually planned on going on a date together, right? So I'm like, cool, like, sis hasn't been on a date in a while, I'm excited. So we get to the barcade. It's a really nice vibe. So we decide to just go straight to the bar, and we order 2 drinks. So the drinks come, and the bartender hands us the bill, and it came to $18, right? So first thing out of his mouth is, so how you want to do this? I was genuinely confused, and I looked at him like I was genuinely confused, because I'm like, what do you mean? So I'm sure he sees the confusion on my face, so he just pulls out like a $20 bill from his pocket. He pays the bill, and we go about our business. So we end up going to sit down with our drinks, and we start talking. And so we're like maybe 10 minutes into our conversation, and he says, can I ask you a question? So I'm like, sure. So he says, how do you feel about submitting to a man? And my response was, I don't have a problem submitting to a man, but I think a lot of times when men bring up submission, they're not talking about like the true sense of what it means for a woman to submit to a man. So we had a conversation back and forth, and it was a pretty good conversation. So eventually we go to the arcade portion of the bar and start playing some games. And while we're playing games, I run to the bar and buy myself some drinks, and we just continue the night, right? So the night goes on, and we're like, okay, let's go get something to eat because we're hungry. So we walk to this restaurant that's down the street from where we're at, and we get in there, we order some entrees. I ordered a cocktail, and then we both ordered a shot each for ourselves. And so he's like, let's toast to new beginnings. And I'm like, okay, sure. Time's running out, so let me speed through this. We're at the end of the night. They turn the lights in the restaurant because it's like closing. They bring the bill. He completely ignores the bill, okay? He continues talking. He ends up going to the bathroom for like 10 minutes. He comes back, and I swear to you, he was surprised to even see the bill still sitting there. So he comes, he pulls out his card. He's on his phone doing something, probably transferring funds. And so I'm just in there, and I said, do you need help paying the bill? And he's like, yeah. And so I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I only pay for bills in relationships. So I was just like, okay, I've never had to pay on a first date. He's like, oh, it sounds like you just wanted a free meal. He accused me of like being a gold digger, all this other stuff. And yeah, I never talked to him again. Like, no. Mm-mm.
That was smart, because how you gonna get that offended about that? It's one thing she said, do you need help paying the bill? And he said, yeah, he could have left it at that. She could have paid. But when he went on this whole thing about, yeah. Red flag. Glad you peeped that, sis. He is not the guy for you. So let's get into these swingers, man. Some more swingers. Let's see. Let's get started.
Woman that you love for a threesome or a three-way. I asked my lady that I loved and lived with for a three. I begged for it and finally broke her down. And she said, okay, whatever you want to do. I said, let's go to a swinger party, and we going to just, get us something, and we not going to talk about it. Nobody get mad or jealous. We just going to have fun and leave it there. She said, okay. We went there, and I knew I was about to get me a girl, and we was going to do something with the girl, and we was going to leave and live happily ever after. We get in there, nobody wasn't doing nothing. I said, let me set it off with my lady. Then these girls going to see me, and they going to join in. And we got started, and the dude with the longest piece of meat I ever seen walked up on me and said, brother, can I get in with you and your lady? I'm saying to myself, absolutely not. And I said, I ain't gonna look like no hater. Let me ask her. Hey, you just gotta ask her, brother. He said, babe, is it cool? She said, I mean, it's cool. I was like, we live together. I will kill you in my head.
He has a part 2.
I said, wait a minute, Jesus, we didn't plan for this. This was supposed to be a three-way with another woman. This is turning into something else. I know my lady ain't like this. She never would do nothing like this. I couldn't think of what to do because the dude was next to me with his thing leaned out, and I was uncomfortable, so I went into the bathroom. And I came out of that bathroom to get that boy off my woman that I live with, and it was 4 other dudes on my woman, and she was handling everybody. I just freaked out and went back in the bathroom for a minute. I came back in there. I couldn't think what to do. I came back in there and joined in that train that they was running on my lady that I live with until it was my turn to get on top, and I covered her whole body up. I blocked her body with my body. She ain't doing this no more. And we went home after that, and we never discussed it again, but I knew my girl done had a train ran on her, and I ain't never get a woman.
He sound like he wanted to. He sound like he went in that bathroom to cry. But just wait, there's one more part.
A word, and we ain't talk about it again. But I had to put some good peanuts on my lady later. I know it to save the relationship because they did her dirty in there. So I said I'm about to put some perk to prove peanuts on my lady when we get to the house. When I got to that house, I said I got to redeem myself because I didn't perform well in the train because I was uncomfortable with all these dudes around my lady that I love so deeply and I live with. I got to that house. I said I'm about to put the lower third disc in a vagina, and I tried to hit it and I couldn't reach the bottom. That vagina was stretched long, short, deep, and wide. That coochie was so, it felt like I was an astronaut or in one of them machines that blow your whole body in the air. I was like, I don't feel my lady. I cried the whole time, but I went through with it, and I ate the coochie afterwards. I love the girl. Don't judge me. Shit.
At least he's still a good sport, my man. Like, oh no, that song was definitely appropriate. Like, but he went through the motions. All right, let's get into another one of these swinger stories.
Swingers cruise, and to go into the playrooms, you can't be in street clothes. You can't be in normal clothes. You have to be in either lingerie or a robe or nude to get into these playrooms. And so our friend, they were still dressed up. And so we went to their room so she could change. And she puts on this thong and she shows us. And I'm like, girl, that is backwards. Like, it freaking was like maybe the size of my finger. She was like, no, this is the front. Like, the back literally has a tag. And so I was like, bitch, no, it doesn't. So then she was like, it does. So she turns it around and she puts it on the right way, and she was right. It was like the exact same. Like, it probably just looked like this. The tag literally was sticking completely out, and the tag itself was thicker than the actual covering part. It was so funny. And she was like, he bought it for me.
And then she wore it to the playroom.
I'm just wondering, they couldn't have put that on the internet to see a picture of it.
No.
Like the Shein picture where it's like...
this was dental floss.
So they went on a swingers cruise on the boat, which actually there was a story, if you guys Google it in the news, about these cruise ships, they have swinger people on it. And if you see that pineapple, they're in there getting down. So there's rules and regulations, you guys, knock yourselves out. I mean, cruise ships to me are already nasty enough with all the germs, but now you're going to look at those buffets different, I promise you, after these stories. So let's get into some poly relationship drama. Playing it up.
I was living in Atlanta, and I was looking for an Order of the Eastern Star chapter. And I ran into this Mason, and he introduced me to his Masonic brothers. He and I had a casual fling, because remember, I wasn't looking to be in a relationship with anybody. And I found out that he was living with a chick who was pregnant. And the only reason why he was living with her was because she had a shit ton of money and he didn't have any. He was a fitness trainer. So after I found out he was involved with someone, I was a little upset because really, I just got out of a relationship with somebody who was cheating on me. I just wanted a dude that was going to tell me the truth about his situation and do something casual with me because I wasn't looking for more. But I didn't want to be with some dude that lied to me. So I got rid of dude. Remember, he had already introduced me to his Masonic brothers, so I knew all of them. And one of them I ended up falling for. Not falling like that. Just friends. We was like hanging out a lot, drinking, having a good time, laughing. We was really close. Friendship. And then we happened to start sleeping together. But I knew from the beginning his situation. He was engaged to a flight attendant who was cheating on him. she was never around. So he had some feelings about her negatively, and I had some feelings going on negatively. So we just happened to be on the same level to where we just didn't want anything serious with each other. It was him who said to me, "You want to go to the swingers club with me?" And I was like, "You have lost your entire whole ass mind." This man asked me this like twice a month for like 3 months. And I was like, if you don't stop asking me that shit, because you always going to get a whole ass no. We've been going out to eat, playing pool, spending all this time together, laughing, talking. I meet his friends, meet his family. I'm not telling him nothing about my personal life because I'm trying to keep him at arm's length. So I'm not telling him nothing, right? But he telling me all his stuff. I needed a cell phone. He got me a phone. We just had like a good friendship, you know? I initiated everything with him. It was me who initiated it, but he didn't stop me. He was all in. We used to say I love you to each other and everything. Like, we was really cool with each other. One day he hit me up and he was like, "Do you want to go for a ride with me?" And I was like, cool, because, you know, we was in Atlanta. It's beautiful. The weather was beautiful. So I was like, cool, we can, like, take a ride, roll the windows down. I rode with you. And so he takes me to this building in Midtown. Child, ain't had no windows. I should have known something was wrong with it then. It ain't had no windows. So I go in with him. I get in there. It's built like a house. Like, it got a living room. It has a locker room with a jacuzzi in it. And in the back of the establishment, it had beds. Like, the floor was like beds. They had bunk beds. It was mirrors on the ceiling and on the sides. And there was large screen TVs all over the place. The TVs were playing adult entertainment. I was like, what is this? What is this place? So he introduced me to the owner of the club. And after this, things get crazy. And you will understand why I'm celibate after all I went through. You will understand. Matter of fact, ladies, just go grab you a celibacy ring right now. Please go to my website and get one and just stick to it, sis. I ended up working at the club because he needed someone to do his promotions and marketing. So I redid all of his websites, redid all of his graphic design work, and just reestablished the club so that people can start coming to it more. And he started making more money so he can renovate the place. So I started seeing stuff you wouldn't believe. I have seen stuff you wouldn't believe. So he asked me to go to a swingers party with him, and I was like, oh my God, why does he keep asking me this? So finally I was like, you know what? All right. You know, okay. Well, he asked me to go to a swingers party with him, and I was like, oh my God, why does he keep asking me this? So finally I was like, you know what? All right. You know, okay. One time. Do not ask me to do this again. When we got to the party, the theme of the party was the circus. So when the dude opened the door, he was dressed like an entire clown. I mean, a real clown. Red nose and everything. A sexy clown. I don't know how that go together. I don't know. So in these type of parties, you can walk around nude or you can walk around in lingerie. I went and changed into my lingerie, and we had a couple of rules. The rules were, don't kiss anybody, don't go south on anybody, and don't do anything without using protection, which are actually good rules. So we ended up having but not with me, him, and another person. It was with me and 2 other people he introduced me to. And he just wanted to watch. That was his fantasy. Now, ladies, this is a lesson you need to learn from me. Do not fulfill another man's fantasy unless it's your own. I should not have been fulfilling a fantasy that wasn't interesting to me. I basically did it for him. And I didn't even like it. It wasn't even worth the experience. Some of these men will think that it's okay to degrade you after you have fulfilled one of their fantasies. That's why it's important that you decide that this is what you want to do for you. Don't do it for a man. Now, after I done did this for him, I can't believe I done it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. And I come back out. When I come out, I can't find him. Now, one of the things that we said we wasn't going to do was separate at the party. So I'm surprised I can't find him. All I did was go to the bathroom. So I come back out for a whole 45 minutes. I can't find him. I don't know where he at in the house. So I just chill. I know he didn't leave me because the car's still outside. So I go into the kitchen. I give me a Jell-O shot or whatever. And I come back out and I go into the garage, and inside of the garage is beds all over the floor. He's in the garage having a carpet munching contest on 3 women. So think about this. Not only does this man have a side chick, not only is this man engaged to be married, sent out the invitations to his wedding and everything. I mean, the wedding ain't nothing but like a month or so away. This man is at a swingers party having a carpet munching contest with 3 women he don't even know. I done sat there and fulfilled one of his fantasies for him to open my body up to 2 people I don't know for this dude. And this man is on a garage floor carpet munching 3 women he don't know. Get your celibacy rings now. Just grab them. Just go ahead. Go to my store. Just go get it. Child. Now, there is a silver lining to all of this.
Her story was very problematic. How do you go from don't ask me to you got a whole train ran on you to you are the problem in this whole story, and then you're going to tell people to buy a celibacy ring? See, this is the world we live in. See, this is why the world is the way it is. And people are selling stuff and y'all buying it. I hope y'all not buying them celibacy rings. That lady got some serious mental issues. I'm sorry. Let's go to the next train wreck. I know these stories are about to be train wrecks. Let's keep going.
What's up, y'all? So, I know I owed you all this story time a long time ago. If you can't tell, my voice is fighting for its life. I've been in the bed all day today. I got a cough drop in my mouth right now, but I got to bring y'all the tea because y'all keep asking me, and I don't want y'all to think I'm stringing you along, right? So, I'm not going to use specific terms because I know a lot of people don't understand them, and I want to keep this story time simple because it's a chaotic mess. The least I could do is keep that part clear. So we were in a 3-person poly relationship, and we were all with each other, or so we thought. Y'all, this was a mess from the beginning to the very bitter end. I have never. Anyway, so he and I met years ago. I was actually under another dom in a different power dynamic. No funny business, but I met him then, and then we later reconnected because some things happened in life, but I'll put that later on in the story time. And then the 2 of them connected, because they experienced a joint tragedy, and that's not my story to tell, so I'm not going to tell it. But they experienced a joint tragedy. The gag is, depending on which one you ask, they both have 2 different perspectives on their relationship status as far as how serious it was, and it's a drastic difference. So I, to this day, honestly, y'all, don't even know the real story between them 2 because both of them say the other is lying. It's a mess. I feel like I was the only one telling the truth. Anyway. So, we all connected, we're chilling, they're talking about, hey, this is what happened, this is how we connected or whatever, and I'm like, okay, and things get grown, right? We didn't physically do anything at that point. No, we didn't. So we didn't physically do anything, but we started teeter-tottering into grown people territory. Again, we're all into power dynamics, we're all into poly, so it was consensual, we're all adults. When I say all adults, I mean like over 30. Was she over 30? Yeah, she's over 30. We're all over 30, right? So we got into some adult conversation. We was like, okay, there's some discussions that need to be had because we're all interested, and let's see where it takes us. I should have never, bruh. I should have never. Oh my God. Anyway, so fast forward. No, I can't fast forward. Yeah. So we said we need to have a conversation. We end up having the conversation, and we come to an agreement that it's going to be a 3-way poly, right? With the option of bringing in more submissives, right? Totally cool with that. I'm a person who loves to love people, okay? So, I guess I got to pause it. Let me know if y'all want part 2. All right, y'all. So I guess it's time for part 2 of this messy story time. I'm trying to navigate through the story because there's so much mess. I honestly don't know which part to give y'all first. But anywho, so I I talked a little bit about how we fast forward and had an adult conversation, but I don't know if I mentioned how if you ask him, there are two individuals who connected over a tragedy with a mutual friend. If you ask her, there are two friends who connected and are dating now. The bottom line is, she made it seem like they knew each other forever. He was like, he met her 2 weeks before he reconnected with me. So he was like, if anybody has longevity, it's you, because I knew you first. And we knew each other in a platonic way. We never, ever, ever crossed the line, never talked about it, nothing like that. So to this day, I don't know which story is true. I don't know if it was a 2-week thing. I don't know if it was their old friends and dating. I don't know. Okay, y'all. So fast forward back to the adult situation, and I'm not gonna cap y'all. I feel better, but my throat is still a little bit messed up, so just bear with me. If you ask her, it was his idea to invite me to their situation. If you ask him, they never had a situation, but it was her idea for all three of us to start one. Yes. Now, let me make it clear, right? I did not find any of this out until the end. If I knew that they both were just going to keep lying to me, I would have never got in it in the first place. Not with my braids snagging. I would have never got in it in the first place. So, yeah. I still don't know whose idea it was to invite me, because they're the ones who took it to an adult level. I was literally on everything, on mothers. I was chilling. And I was cool with us just being cool. Right? They're the ones. I don't know who was the leader, but they're the ones who wanted to take it to the next level. And I was like, okay, whatever. Fast forward, we started having conversations that adults have, doing things that adults do. If you don't know what I'm referencing, then you're too young. Get off my page. And I am naturally polygamous. I actually can be either or. I just really be chilling, y'all. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I be chilling. But I can love more than one person genuinely, consistently, without being jealous and all of that. I can do that. Y'all probably like, duh, you was in poly. No, I'm bringing that up because she couldn't. With that, let's take a commercial break. Ladies, stop pretending to be poly just to snag the man you want. Because all you do is, A, put yourself in a messed up situation, and B, make it toxic for people who are actually genuinely invested in growing in the poly relationship. And that's what she did. But I'm going to tell y'all what happened in part 3.
No, because she talks too slow and about a whole bunch of nothing. I will agree with her. If you're not poly, don't do it. Because look, this girl can't even get the story out right. She don't know who was who and what was what. And yeah, let's go to the next story because she was exhausting.
So I'm dying to tell you guys this story. I'm a little hesitant because it's going to expose a lot about myself, but I'm going to try to tell it in the most hilarious way possible because I'm a goofball, and at this point, I think shit's funny. So, yeah, I am unfortunately probably about to expose myself to so many different people, and things about myself that I probably, I'm not ashamed of. Don't get me wrong. I ain't ashamed of shit I do. But yeah, you guys probably don't really expect these things of me. The only people who probably do are my very close friends who know how I am and what I do and things like that. But anyways, I'm going to change some names in this story because, of course, I don't want to get in any trouble. I don't want to have any problems. But I definitely feel like, man, I got to tell you guys. So, okay, so y'all have been on me for part 2, and don't think that I haven't been trying. I was recording them, but unfortunately, I felt like I was getting too far into the relationship story, and I felt like this story needs to just be about how we was going from, like, a throuple to, like, blocked. So, we were intimate or whatever, and from there, he was like, let's be in a poly relationship, because I had already expressed that I was not going to be monogamous in my next relationship. It just wasn't something I was interested in. Like, even right now, hold up. So even right now, it's just not something I'm interested in. So, you know, I'm just like, I'm going to be poly. If you want to be in a relationship with me, da-da-da-da-da. He's like, this is exactly what he wants, blah, 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 blah. So, just to let you guys know, we started the relationship. Now, there was definitely some things that were, like, red flags I just was like ignoring because I just wanted to explore like what a poly relationship would be like, honestly. So like there are certain things because like my one red flag was like the finances. Like that was just appalling for me because of the age difference and because of like the living situation difference, or like even the way that we went about managing our money was so different. But you know, like I'm not trying to be judgmental, you know, this nigga is from little Alabama. He probably ain't never been taught shit. I don't know. So, you know, I'm not really thinking too much of it. And in the middle of, or in the midst of our relationship, what I would consider now my nesting partner, they were going through like a breakup and it was getting pretty toxic. Like, they were like, hey, you know, it's getting to the point where I might get violent with this person because they're provoking me in certain ways. And I was like, you know what? That shit's not cool. Come on, bring your ass over here. So my primary partner, we'll call him Jim, my primary partner at this point starts kind of like, you know, encouraging me to, you know, start up another sexual relationship with my nesting partner, we'll call him Alex, starting up a relationship with Alex. Now, me and Alex had a previous relationship, so, you know, it's not something super new, but, like, me and Alex also, like, had parted, they were in another relationship, you know, we were kind of just doing our own thing at that point. We just also have always been kind of like around each other and been each other's support system. So when they were going through like the breakup and everything, you know, I definitely was like, I can completely understand and whatever. So as far as Jim's been telling me, hey, get with Alex, hey, get with Alex, hey, get with Alex. Eventually, because we live in the same house, whatever, I do end up sleeping with Alex, and we do end up, you know, just dealing with each other more, right? More intimately. Now, at the time, Alex wasn't interested in a relationship.
So, backstory, because she kind of just went into it. So, she is in a house with two dudes, and she is having a poly relationship with these two dudes. So, that is what, because she completely skipped over that when she went into her story. So, let's go to our next part.
So, since Alex had just got out of a relationship, like a long relationship, and other things that they have been going through, you know, just relationship hopping, to be honest with you. They just wanted some time, you know, and I was cool with that because I was like, you know, just that we live together, we have sex together. But Jim starts being like, hey, how would Alex feel if you FaceTime me while you guys are having sex? And how would Alex feel about this? And how would Alex feel about that? And I'm like, you know, obviously, I'm with the shits. So I'm asking Alex. I'm gonna be honest with you. Alex was kind of like, what the fuck? Right? Because Alex was like, what the fuck? Why would your partner want to watch? Just a little perturbed by the whole situation. Understandably so. Understandably so, right? Like, so, anyway. Eventually gets to a certain point where, you know, Jim is like, well, since Alex is going to be around and I want to come visit, you know, like, maybe we should meet. So then he wants to talk to him on FaceTime. They have a conversation. It's cool, whatever, you know. And at this point, Jim's talking about making money moves. Now, I'm going to let you know, Alex all about making his motherfucking money. Like, that's a man about his motherfucking bread. That's also why the financial situation was perturbed at night, because, you know, I'm typically like with the nigga that got the money, you know. I'm typically with the nigga that's like, don't worry about shit. So, you know, it was already like, what the hell? But, you know, like I said, I was doing other things with this person that, you know, I don't get to do with Alex, like doing spirituality stuff, tarot card stuff. So, you know, I was enjoying that part of it. So I was all in with that shit. So anyway, getting back to it. So eventually, like, we're all planning this whole thing, and I was gonna throw myself out there. At this point, at some point, after all them questions from Jim, I'm thinking, what about a threesome? If he gonna come visit for Christmas, what about a threesome? You know, I'm already been intimate with both people. I'm already being intimate with both people because there's a time that, you know, I went to go visit Jim after Alex had moved in. So there's definitely, let me show you the picture. Hold up. So mind you, I'm pretty sure that Jim sent this to me on Instagram when we were together. And this is around the time, so as you see, this is very much like the dynamic. This is actually them talking about Scott and Wolverine having a poly relationship with Jean. And so this is very much like what kind of happened like in October when I went to go visit Jim. It was like I was with, honestly, it's opposite because Jim would be more like Cyclops. But basically, Alex took me, I went to go see Jim, and then, you know, Jim would take me back, and then I go back to Alex. It would be very much this vibe, right? Which was cool for me because the focus was just like, hey, let's make sure that, you know, you get to do the things.
So I never knew that Cyclops and Wolverine were in a poly relationship. That's how crazy this story is, because I'm trying to follow it just like y'all. But this girl, she liked to get her freak on. But let's keep going.
The focus seemed to be like whatever I wanted, you know, everybody was just trying to do the things that I wanted. So that's cool, you know. And so from there, you know, he did come to visit. They actually got along pretty well. And, you know, they had, like, similar interests. They watched, like, the same type of fucking shows and shit. So they were able to, like, you know, do some, like, little bonding over that type of shit, right? And so from there, like, we did have threesome or whatever. And, you know, at that point, Jim is like, and he's like loving this. He's like the whole thing. He's like, he wants to be a triad. He wants to be a family. He wants to take trips to Legoland. All of us, we going out with his daughter, her friend, my kid, Alex's kid. We're all together out at like little go-kart places and shit. We all having fun, whatever. And, you know, the whole time, Jim is like, this is what he wants. He wants it to be the three of us. We want to be a family. He's talking to me about, like, getting married to both of them, trying to find a place to get married to both of them or that would allow something like that. All these things, right? All these things. And so, you know, at the time, everything sounds good, especially for me. Like, this is shit for me. I'm living my best life, you know. They're getting along. I got 2 men. Like, I'm having fucking fun, all right? I'm having the time of my little motherfucking life. And, right? And then they know about each other, too, so I ain't even hiding shit. Like, we got a whole group chat, chit-chatting with each other, joking, sending pictures like that fucking one that I showed you. We're joking and sending stuff like, look at this is a poly relationship in the comic book, and ha, and this is kind of like our dynamic, and da-da-da. We just, all that shit, right? And then what ends up happening is Jim goes home for like a week or two, and he basically is talking about like he misses us, and you know, he misses us so much. So for Martin Luther King Day, he comes, or that weekend, he comes back to visit. Now that weekend when he came back to visit, things were a little different. I ain't gonna lie, things were a little different. And the dynamic was a little different. The energy seemed like it was a little off. But, you know, everybody just kept it cool, you know. He actually was still on his fucking, let's be a family, let's do this, let's build the business, let's, you know, figure out how we can live together. You guys need to come visit. All these things, right? He even, like, bought these books. Hold up a second, I'll show it to you. So these are the books. Jim got this one for us to fill out together. Then we got my kid this one. And this one. And, you know, we were on a little family outing, so it was just like a whole thing. And like I said, I was living my best life. I was like, oh my gosh, look at how cool they're sharing. They're getting along. Look at this. This is so cool. Now, Alex is kind of like... But me and Jim are like, yeah, let's all do everything together. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's, like, we just, you know, off the deep end with the shits, you know, like, we just all in. And so, like, that weekend like, when he came for Martin Luther King Day, that weekend was a little weird, because I was like, man, I felt like, you know, it was more about, like, him and Alex watching TV than like us all really chilling together. Don't get me wrong, we did all hang out, but like it just seemed like a little bit of a disconnect. And so I don't know why, but in the midst of him being here, I don't want an old girl's page, seeing something, I'm like, why you do that? And I'm looking at the dates, and the dates are matching up with like the dates that he done went back and all this stuff. Like, after after Christmas. I'm like, what? So then, you know, we do this whole thing where he's like, you know, me and Alex start to like kind of pull back. Me and Alex are like, you know, starting to pull back. He's like, no, he gives us this whole like little fucking family speech. Like, we're going to be a family. We're going to be a triad. Like, let's go get coffee together and go to the airport. So we do that shit, whatever. And man, once he gets home, he's got like a whole different vibe with me. It's like I'm like, everything I have done is like so fucking annoying and like and like, don't get me wrong, now I get it. Like, this nigga was shaking in his boots. Like, you know, hindsight shows you different things. So like, I get it differently now, because now I feel like this nigga was like, you know, I don't know what's. So anyway, so he kept being like, why are you doing this? And I was like, you know, liking the girl stuff or whatever. I wasn't really doing much. But from there, like, it was like a big problem. He's like, you know, calling me. He tells me like she wants to know why I got her blocked and stuff like that. That was his mistake right there. I'm gonna tell you that was his mistake, because I unblocked her. We had a conversation and shit blew the fuck up. So apparently, like, he been telling this woman I was just like a business friend, and he been telling me that he done broke up with her, stopped sleeping with her. She's the one who picked him up from the airport. I'm like, really? Monday? Really? Wow, he was just here. When's the last time you slept with him? Last weekend? When's the last time you slept with him? Monday? Yeah. Same day? Damn. Wow. So
I'm sorry, that story failed me and y'all. Literally, I'm going to sum this up because it was a mess. But literally what happened was she was messing with this dude, Jim, and he clearly was in a relationship with another girl. And the girl was blocked because it was his ex. He told her to block her. And so she never knew they was still messing around, even though he was coming there and telling her two different things. The moral of the story is poly can be messy. Some people are successful at it, and some people are not. I wouldn't be. What would you guys be? That story was a mess. It was an epic failure. Like, that story was 5 parts of absolutely nothing. And that girl is probably somewhere now with Alex, living and like having sex with other men. I don't even know, because the whole thing was a whole mess. But the moral of the story is that poly could be messy. We'll leave it at that. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. Be safe, as I always say. This was a peek into another lifestyle, which I always find interesting. But what the conclusion that I always come out with is relationships are messy. It's hard enough with just a regular couple. I can't imagine adding all these equations in there. I don't understand just how people get along. I know that there are some people out there that's gotten along for years in poly relationships, but yeah, some, I don't know. That one was an absolute mess. You guys stay safe out there. Once again, F is for family. Whatever the kind of family you have, love is love. I am signing off.